The Teeming Universe, an extraterrestrial field guide. Imagine a world where everything had two skeletons and the trees grew like ocean coral. Would you let birds eat parasites off your back like the space rhino? Would you let me do it? What would you do if you had 4 eyes that could all swivel independently like a chameleon? I know it's something creepy. I can see it in your eyes. Let's just start the alien video, you pervert. If you haven't seen my other videos on the Teeming Universe, you should definitely go watch them. They explain the concept of the book and also cover life inhabiting a few alien worlds. The Teeming Universe is a field guide to a myriad of extraterrestrial planets containing multitudes of strange alien species in the known universe. We know about these worlds because of one artist, Christian Cline. They're a great artist, and I'll be linking to their pages in the description. Without further ado, let's take a look at another one of the worlds detailed in these pages. Welcome to the world of Yulene, a small terrestrial planet slightly above half the size of Earth. Due to the small size, it only has 2/3 of the atmosphere density, which makes it much less effective at trapping heat, resulting in a colder environment. The surface is made up of large permanent ice caps, forests, and expansive oceans. There isn't much of an axial tilt, so there isn't much seasonality. Basically, most places on the planet are just one long harsh winter. For much of the planet's history, most of the surface has been covered in ice, save for some periods where the planet is warmed up, giving life opportunity to climb its ass out of the primordial soup that it would have stayed in having known there would be days like this. The planet's small size also results in a weaker magnetosphere, which has wide-reaching implications for life on the surface. Animal life on Yulene is at least aesthetically similar to Earth. There are invertebrates, which are pretty on par for Earth life, and vertebrates, which work a bit differently here. Vertebrates here are called basket vertebrates because they have 2 spines and skeletal frames. These 2 skeletons are linked by joints, muscle, or duct tape. Most vertebrate life on Yulene has this skeletal structure, but it's present in all land vertebrates due to an amphibian-like common ancestor. Many of these animals have a 3-part jaw system, the upper mandible separated in half vertically. Vertebrates typically have 4 eyes, all of which can see the visible spectrum, and some of which can sense the ultraviolet spectrum as well. This is the Lorean Clerics. Clerii, plural for clerics, are a clade of flying animals comparable to Earth's pterosaurs and birds. Many of them move and hunt with flight, but many species are also capable of other forms of movement like burrowing, running, jelqing, hopping, or swimming. They are basket vertebrates, with some species developing anterior spines that can support large bird-like pectoral muscles. They sport long muscular necks that help them peer around when flying and nomming small animals. Their jaws have 2 small rows of serrated plates connected to the skull for snagging slippery fish boys. Some of the largest clarids have 40-foot wingspan, using their enormous wings to soar on mountain thermals for weeks at a time. Sounds like the back of a goddamn monster can. They don't have feathers, instead having a tightly pulled scrotum in each armpit like a bat. Living solitary lives, these creatures only pair up when it's time to fuck. This is the common cobbleback trait, one of the food sources of the clerics. It's kind of funny how a lot of creatures just exist as a food source. These are one of the most common aquatic creatures living in the streams and rivers. The adults resemble fish and measure up to 3 feet long. Every year, adults migrate north into the colder regions to avoid predation and lay their eggs. Their young kind of look like tadpoles, known on Earth colloquially as the common pond sperm. These are Cisabi, but I like to call it the space rhino. It's one of the largest grazers in the ecosystem. These creatures are armored titans measuring over 20 feet long, and they travel in herds of 30 to 40 across the cold wilderness. The armor on their backs is an extension of the dorsal spinal column. Cisabi graze on the various plants scattered about the tundra. They're usually pretty chill, unless it's horny season, and then they're not. The babies have shells that look like their heads on the ends of the pointy bits, which can allow them to confuse predators and escape to their parents. These thick shells are prone to parasites, which the Cisabi pecker will happily eat. There's always someone willing to eat insects off your back. Many plants here grow like earth coral, where it grows on top of its dead relatives. If you were one of these plants, you would grow out of the top of your parent's head, and your parent would be growing out of the top of your grandparent's head, who, if still alive, is permanently attached to their parent's decaying corpse. A good amount of the plants here are carnivorous. Some are moss-like plants filled with sticky slime that act like nature's glue traps for little critters. These are bragglebushes. Like some plants on Yulene, they can retract their extendy bits. The bragglebush likes to hide underground, like a puss. Welcome to the world of Menir. I'm kidding, this place is not welcoming. This how you keep your house, bro? No wonder you only reproduce asexually. I'm just blazing through these today. It's a cold hellhole super Earth with basically no magnetic field and a ton of UV radiation. Over 90% of the planet is covered in frozen ice and rock, but there is sparse liquid water on the surface. Even though there's no fossils because the surface is incredibly volatile, it's not impossible that a more complex ecosystem existed at one point. There are pools of both liquid water and hydrogen peroxide both on the surface and underground. Hydrogen peroxide is like that stuff that you put on your cuts and chicken fingers. There is no complex life on this planet, but instead only incredibly simple multicellular life in single-celled organisms. The hydrogen peroxide keeps the water just thawed enough for the ecosystem to exist. Imagine if your entire existence was on the brink of freezing to death. These are Monerophiles, kind of like bacteria that live anywhere there's water. water. They're purple to reflect excess ultraviolet radiation and use hydrogen peroxide in their biology. Using an organelle called a peroxisome, they pump fresh peroxide into their bodies so they don't freeze. Let's go through the weird little critters, huh? These are the planolids. They're flat boys that usually just photosynthesize, but some like to eat other creatures. These are the gnathocylids. They usually just like to eat things with their wiggly cilia hair. Most relatable character of 2022. These are our cilia. They're wormy boys with hard, crunchy outer cells and a soft, creamy interior followed by an aftertaste of poisoning yourself with hydrogen peroxide. These are the Monerosomes, conglomerations of many smaller creatures making up a larger unit. These colonies can reach up to 20 meters and enjoy long floats in the ocean after a night out and soaking up aquatic nutrients. While it's unlikely without extensive global changes that life will get more complex, if the planet doesn't just get microwaved when its star hits the red giant phase, then maybe there's a chance the ecosystem could warm up enough to develop more complex life. To find out what an additional episode in this series would be about, we're gonna go back to our Yechuan correspondent, Yeet.
Thanks, Az. You gotta tell me your chicken finger recipe. Another episode would cover the other corners of the universe filled with strange alien life, as well as looking at the history of migrate species. I'd like and subscribe with all notifications to see that, and anybody who wouldn't is an idiot. Coming up on Earthwatch tonight at 11, a child is walking down the streets, lighting napkins on fire, sticking them in car gas tanks, and exploding them. Back to you, Az.
Thanks, Yeet. I want to thank my friend and the very talented author of the Teeming universe, Christian Cline, for getting in contact with me and providing and drawing assets for the creation of this video. I loved his book, and you should definitely go check out all of his stuff because he's super talented, and honestly, if you don't, you're missing out. I also want to thank my friend Hop for helping with the illustration of this episode. They're super talented, and I will be linking to their work as well.